queridos rinconeros. Creo que ya arreglé los problemas que había. Así que vamos directo a donde nos quedamos. O sea, escoger la puerta izquierda.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Qué diferencia, ¿verdad? Qué fácil es todo cuando sigues instrucciones, güey. Ok, se ve que le invirtieron mucho tiempo a todos esos detalles. Que help a post-it. Ajá. Ok, vamos. Ajá. Wow.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Todos saben lo que va a pasar, ¿verdad?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Claro.
All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make others.
A ver, esperen. Opciones, video. Avanzado. Baja. Ok. Más.
Strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. At last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Wow. Oh, fuck.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I'm real. I must be real. I must be connected.
¿Qué demonios?
Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
¿Qué?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Qué?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
¿La esposa?
She rose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she wishes to be normal. I am sane.
Perdón por
I
eso,
am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay. Never ends, never ends, never ends, never load. ¡Ah! ¡Qué demonios! Ok, vamos. A la izquierda.
A set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ya sabemos, ok. Meeting room.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Sala de juntas.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find an answer coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Aquí estamos. Che. Oh, baño ejecutivo, Sí, ya es todo tapizado, muy bonito. Cosas raras ahí. Jefe.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Ok. Nada bueno puede salir de ahí.
2845.
Jódete.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just
Wow.
opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ok. Ah. Sí. Hacia abajo. Loading. Ahora no dice the end is never. Ah, tal vez dice the end is never cuando, o nunca es el final, cuando mueres o cuando te regresan al principio. Y loading es simplemente
Descending
cuando
deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It
cuando
was
está
a
cargando.
stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Wow. Let's go.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
¿Qué demonios?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh. Una muerte violenta.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Muerte violenta.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Sí. What? Ajá. Aún podemos regresar. Fuck it. Suena un poco como los Reapers, eso. No, es como... Es como raro.